Hi, John. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's our great honor to have you around in this year's SAUVC competition. So can you tell us a little bit about your background for our viewers?
Well, thanks, Kirsty, for the invitation. I'm really glad to be here. My background goes back through a number of disciplines: oceanography, maths, physics, and then I was 12 years in Singapore here with the ARL, doing underwater communications and propagation, ambient noise. So I have quite a wide background, and currently I'm working for NTNU in Norway.
That's cool. So I know you have attended the AUV symposium a few days ago, right? And then you definitely got a chance to explore some recent advances in underwater robotics from academia side. And SAUVC is very different from AUV symposium. So you see a lot of young people building their robots practically and join the competition, competing with each other. So how's your experience with these two events?
Well, of course, they're completely different. On the one hand, at the symposium, we're looking at the leading edge from a professional point of view of what's possible. And here we're looking at the beginnings, the next generation, if you like. And these students are not necessarily anywhere near exposed to the level of background that the folk at the symposium are. And so they're inventing stuff from scratch, and they're doing out-of-the-box stuff. And that's partly what's really so exciting, that they come up with all kinds of novel solutions. And they're all coming up with very different creative ideas, and it's that diversity that I think is so exciting.
Right, so you already see a lot of team doing the qualification round. So is there any teams impress you the most for their designs, or is there any special design you want to share?
Oh, I don't want to play favorites, but and I really commiserate with the teams who've not succeeded in qualifying, because I understand they put in a huge amount of effort. And to come here after all of that and then not be able to qualify, it must be crushing. So my heart goes out to them, because I know these vehicles are all capable of good things. Some of them are fast, some of them have great directionality, or some of them great control, some of them very sleek, some of them really well designed. But some of them are done on very little money with what there is to hand, and I have great respect for the teams that have produced a working vehicle on very little finance, basically. That's also very impressive. So all these vehicles are impressive, but in different ways.
So do you think we see a lot of young students joining? I think the youngest team is high school students. So do you think a student joining competition like SAUVC at very young stage will help them to better prepare for their future study or even career? Do you have any advice for young people who are interested in underwater acoustic, either the educational wise or even career wise?
Sure. No, I'm thinking it's not only what these teams are learning about AUVs. They're obviously learning about mechanics and about control and about cost, but they're also learning how to team build. They're learning how to work with a diverse team, listen to the others, learn from what they have to contribute, and come up with a system that's holistic, that works as a whole. And some of these teams are a long way down that road. I mean, there's one with a PR section whose job it is to publicize. So they've already grasped the fact that in real life, you could be a great engineer, but you've got to be able to sell your idea and get money to support it in order to make a business out of it, for example. So these guys are learning much, much more than just about how to make an AUV that'll support them in whatever career they go into.
That's awesome. We saw a lot of young people doing quite well at this early stage. So I know you will deliver a talk next Monday morning. So will you mind to share a little bit of background stories or motivation for that talk?
Okay, so this is a little bit unusual talk. I'm on the IEEE OES Distinguished Lecturer list, and normally my talks would be more technical. But since this is to a bunch of students who are perhaps earlier on in their career than most of my audiences, I'm going to do something a little different. And I'm going to talk about how to fill a gap between a research ship that costs 20, 30, 40,000 a day, and you might be dollars or euros, it's about the same now, and what autonomous vehicles can do, either surface vehicles or subsurface vehicles. There's a niche in between those two. Between the very small autonomous, which can't do everything, they can do great stuff, but they can't do everything, and the research vessel that can do everything, but at a huge price. And there's a niche in the middle that I think there's an option to fill, which I find quite exciting. So I'm going to talk about 3 expeditions in 18-meter sailboat where we've been able to support serious science at seriously low cost.
That sounds so awesome, and I'm really looking forward to hear your talk on next Monday. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation, and I look forward to seeing you Monday.
Yeah.